As I always say, Grineer are known for their over-aggressiveness, for being ruthless, and for generally hating everything non-Grineer, and occasionally hating everything including fellow Grineer. However, every once in a while we get a high-profile Grineer that breaks these norms and becomes extremely likable and popular in the community. The most recent Grineer to break this trend, and I would argue the best known Grineer of all time at this point, is probably Cal175. It's honestly extremely difficult to look at anything Warframe related and not see at least one person talking about Cal. And for good reason too. He's a well written, morally good, incredibly interesting character, and in all honesty, we don't get that many interesting good guys that are important to the story in Warframe. That's why all of my videos up to this point have been on villains, because generally, they are in my opinion a lot more interesting and have a lot more lore behind them. Not to bash all of the good guys, because there's of course some good ones, but I feel like the villains are generally the most memorable characters in this game. However, Cal isn't the first Grineer to break the trend and become an important ally, and as you guys can probably guess by now, I'll be talking about our first true Grineer good guy, the legend Clem. Now the first part of this video will actually be talking about who created Clem and why Clem exists, because that story behind his creation is honestly, in my opinion, more important than his actual story within the lore of the game. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about how he came to be. Before I get into it, I want to say that I wasn't into the Warframe community during this, because this happened 11 years ago. So if I missed something or don't perfectly represent everything that happened, please let me know in the comments. I'm just going on based like what we have archived. Also, just let me know what you thought of Clem if you're a vet, whether you thought the meme was awesome or annoying. Something a lot of you newer players might not know is that Clem isn't a character originally created by Digital Extremes. It was actually created by a huge Warframe fan that went by Datareaper, and they also went by Viscera Reality. So you might be wondering what inspired Datareaper to create Clem, and it's honestly something you wouldn't really expect. Back in the very early days of Warframe, the Grineer didn't have their own language, and just spoke like normal people during battles. However, in 2013, Digital Extremes started to have Grineer talk in their own language, causing them to sound significantly different, and often like they were speaking nonsense to players experiencing the update for the first time. One of the new words that they began saying was actually Clem, and one of the most common phrases for a Grineer Lancer to yell out while in battle was "Get Clem." Now chances are, Clem is probably just the Grineer way of saying them, because that makes the most sense with the phrase "Get Clem." And I mean, the Grineer language isn't exactly like well crafted. It's not like Klingon or something, or even like the languages in Monster Hunter, which is one of my newest videos that you should go check out. Like and subscribe. But anyway, lots of new players started making memes about this Clem phrase, saying that it sounded like the Grineer were yelling for reinforcements from a Grineer called Clem, or even possibly yelling out that it might be Clem attacking them. Anyway, Datareaper decided to take this meme to the next level and actually created an entire comic strip depicting Clem and giving the character some lore and history. Now, Datareaper didn't create this lore alone and used some of the other popular memes floating around the community at the time to form Clems. The biggest of these being a forum post depicting a Grineer waiting at the exit with Tenno without attempting to attack them. There is a slur in this post though, so if I do show it, and I might not because of the slur, I'll have to cut that out, obviously. But combined with this and what Datareaper added himself is how we ended up with this lore here. Clem was a Grineer that became enthralled with the Tenno and interested in how they fought, moved, and the causes they were fighting for. Clem's entire purpose was to someday be like and fight like the Tenno, and would often follow them around whenever they happened to be doing missions in the area. Instead of attacking them like his fellow Grineer, he would simply attempt to mimic their movements and follow them around. Eventually, a few nice Tenno offered to help train Clem, which is what eventually led to Clem being the complete badass that we know him as today. Anyway, Datareaper's interpretation of this is what he depicted in his comics, and it became extremely popular after he first posted. Datareaper would continue to create several other comic strips focused around Clem, and it eventually became so popular in the Warframe community the developers of the game actually knew who Clem was in 2014, just a year after his initial creation. Around late 2014 or early 2015, I really couldn't find the exact date. To show how much they heard their fanbase, DE, or Digital Extremes, actually added an NPC named Clem into their relays, where he could be seen helping several members of the Steel Meridian with whatever tasks they were doing. Doing this only enhanced Clem's popularity and caused him to rise to peaks never seen before by a fan-made character, at least never seen before in Warframe. Eventually, this led to Digital Extremes releasing an update to the game that made Clem much more important and made him the main focus of a new side quest titled A Man of Few Words. I won't get too much into the actual missions behind this quest in this section, since right now we're talking about how Clem came to be, which I guess we actually covered pretty well. Just to throw this in here, because this is important, Datareaper also inspired the creation of the twin gratas that Clem currently used, by giving him twin graticas in the comic strips before they actually existed in game. So Datareaper was actually responsible for Clem existing in the game, the twin graticas, I can't say it, and even a melee weapon called the Cronin. However, it wasn't relevant to Clem in any way. I just wanted to throw in there that he created 3 different things that are in the game now, which is pretty damn impressive for just a fan. Now before moving on, I think it's super important to mention that Datareaper, whose real name I believe is Alexander, passed away 2 years ago. This is obviously incredibly tragic and very sad. However, at least he passed away with a legacy. Clem is an iconic character in Warframe, and his legacy and creations live on even if he doesn't. There's also a memorial dedicated to him behind the fort in Ironkeep. Remember to look out for your loved ones and, keep them safe, because, tragedy can strike at any moment. RIP Datareaper, thank you for making the game we enjoy so much a little bit more fun. It's awesome that, your legacy lives on with Clem and that he's such a lovable and liked character in the Warframe universe that you valued so much. Thank you so much, man. So up to this point, we've literally mentioned nothing about Clem's actual purpose in the game and what he does. So that's what we'll briefly cover here. The reason I say briefly is because there really isn't a whole lot of lore actually here, which is why I went into how Clem was created first, because I felt as though it was more important. Clem was actually first introduced into the game as just another member of the Steel Meridian, which actually tells us a decent amount about his history. At some point, as all Grineer do, Clem was working for the Grineer military. However, for some reason, he ended up defecting or being kicked out, and it's actually hard to know which. The reason I say this is because Clem is naturally shorter than other Grineer and has a lot of trouble speaking, likely making him ostracized and often disrespected within the Grineer Empire. These defects could have led him to either leaving or getting kicked out of the military. Of course, this is just me making a guess on the reasoning. This isn't for sure canon or anything. It just makes the most sense. Anyway, immediately after leaving the Grineer, Clem can be seen working for the Steel Meridian and assisting them on their missions due to his elite ability as a fighter. While we don't know for sure, we can guess based off of his creation in the comics and all that good stuff that he likely received training from the Tenno to be able to fight so effectively at some point. Anyway, after working for the Steel Meridian exclusively for a while, it appears that Clem now splits his efforts between assisting Darvo and the Steel Meridian. I wasn't really able to find any information directly confirming how Clem and Darvo became so friendly, but it's likely because of Clem's contract work that he did for Darvo, and then building a relationship throughout the contracts. They became better friends, especially because Clem was so effective on these contracts. Anyway, we're introduced to Clem from our friend Darvo, when he sends us mail asking for help with the actual letter saying this: "Come see me, friend. There's something I need to ask you in person. Come see me on the relay and we'll talk." When we arrive at the relay, he lets us know what he needs, and what he needs for us is to save Clem from the Grineer, since he was caught while looking for an artifact for Darvo. So, we drop him to the mission and fight through hordes of Grineer to free Clem from his prison. These hordes of Grineer are actually led by Lichtir of the Grusdrag 3. After dispatching him, we move into the prison cell and free Clem. Once freed, he only says the words Clem and Grakta. I can't say that. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying. Anyway, Clem is absolutely useless in a fight because he doesn't have his Grakatas. Once we extract with Clem, Darvo informs us that without his twin Grakatas, Clem is literally useless in a fight, like unwilling to fight with him essentially. So our next mission is to take Clem to get his weapons back, and once we do, he becomes a much more effective fighting partner, and asks if we will go help him fight the ones who took his weapons from him. Well, he really says Clem and Grataka, and then Darvo translates it for us, saying that he wants to go after the guys who got him captured. So, we then go with Clem to face off against Vim Tabuk. Tabuk, I love saying Tabuk, bro. That's like my favorite character in Warframe, just because his last name, Tabuk. Anyway, moving on. We then go with Clem to face against Vim Tabuk of the Grusdrag 3. And with Clem's help, we quickly dispatch him, the GOAT. Then after defeating Vim Tabuk, the quest still isn't over. It leads to Darvo asking us to help Clem get the artifact he was actually contracted to get in the first place. with the artifact being called the Potent Orkin Technical Augmentation and Tactical Offensive Device, or the Potato for short. Anyway, it's a survival mission where we have to live long enough in order for other operatives to actually steal the potato. During this mission, Sheikh Tal, the leader of the Grushag 3, shows up and attempts to kill us, much like Vim Tabuk. We easily dispatch him with our combined efforts, which means that throughout this quest, we have eliminated every single member of the Grushag 3. Anyway, after completing the survival mission, we travel back to the relay to receive our thanks from Clem and Darvo, along with our award being a fully finished Exilius adapter. Overall, this is meant to be a fun, lighthearted quest, which makes a lot of sense, seeing as though Clem was built from a meme within the community. While not the most important quest, I do think it means a lot for developers to implement community-based ideas into their game. This story has honestly made me respect Digital Extremes a lot more, especially after they put the memorial dedicated to Datareaper into the game. Overall, I think I gave a pretty good overview of Clem's story here. Obviously, I wasn't big into the community when the Clem meme first popped off, but there's honestly quite a bit of archived information that I used to create this video. So the things I didn't directly mention was that Warframe fans would often spam Clem under pretty much any comment section of anything Warframe, which assisted in spreading the meme. In fact, my comment section might get spammed with Clem just for covering this topic, which of course I wouldn't mind. Because giving respect to Clem is in a way, like it continues on Datareaper's legacy through his favorite game, which is, I mean, pretty awesome. Anyway, now that we've talked about everything, I'll go ahead and give my outro, I guess, and plug my memberships, guys. Yes, I do have a membership now. Become a member today to get offered a spot in my brand new clan with no members in it besides me currently. It sucks right now, but we can make it better someday. If you're interested in playing with me and other community members, assuming more people will eventually join the clan, baby, I might have to blow up a little bit more before the clan turns into something awesome, though. I mean, it's always been like a dream of mine to run a cool, huge clan in Warframe. Ever since I first played Warframe, I wanted to have an awesome clan, so that's part of the goal. Anyway, other perks that are more important are access to emojis to use on the channel, early access to videos, usually a day early, and community polls to make decisions on channel things in the future. I know the perks aren't necessarily the greatest right now, and it's because I launched my membership a little bit earlier than I had planned to do, because I was unfortunately in a car wreck recently, and it appears like my car is going to be totaled. We're not for sure yet, but if it is, I'm going to need money to buy a new car, so that's why I went ahead and lost the membership. Thankfully, no one was injured in the accident, but if you can support, I appreciate it. But if you can't, it doesn't matter, because if you've already made it this far into the video, you've already actually supported me a lot. Anyway, thank you all for watching. The channel is doing great recently because of you guys, and it feels awesome. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Stay blessed. Also, a huge shout out to my currently one and only member, SignUpKing5000. Thank you so much for the support. It means a ton. Everyone, W SignUpKing. They're the best, most important elite person of all time. Stay blessed, guys. Peace out.